Hello friends, welcome to CEC Live Lectures. Dear friends, today in this session we are going to talk on cinema. Friends, our topic of discussion is Hindi cinema down the ages and introduction. Friends, for the discussion on the topic we have with us in our studios our subject expert Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi. Dear friends, Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi is Assistant Professor in English and he is teaching in Guru Gobind Singh IP University, and he is a prolific professor. Through him, we are going to get enough of information which will be helpful for you to understand today's topic in detail. Friends, if you wish to ask questions from Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi on today's topic, then do call us through our toll-free number. Our number is 1800110430. I repeat, our number is 1800110430. All dear friends are requested to call in the last 10 minutes of the lecture only, as well as you are requested to ask questions relevant to the topic only. Now, I would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi, and would request him to give us in-depth knowledge on the topic that is Hindi cinema down the ages and introduction. Hello sir, welcome to the lecture.
Thank you so much. Thank you, good morning. You've already introduced me and the topic which I am going to put across in front of you today. The topic, as you have announced, is Hindi cinema down the ages, an introduction. So this is going to be just an introduction, because you know Hindi cinema is a mammoth field now. With 100 years of its time, it has set many milestones across time and space, and factually speaking, this is the producer of more films than any other country in the world. Almost 5.5 billion tickets sold, 9 lakhs more than the Hollywood produces every year. Almost 1600 films released every year. So Indian cinema is now a global enterprise. It pervades across the globe and the largest film industry in the world, only the second oldest if we speak in context of time after Hollywood. So I'll give you just the basic information about Hindi cinema in 100 years and more that it has passed through, because 1 hour is too small time to accommodate all the intricacies, subtleties, sophistications, milestones of Hindi cinema so far. So coming to the first aspect, there are certain nomenclatures which I would like to put across you, and that is about the Hindi cinema of Mumbai. Earlier it used to be Hindi cinema of Bombay, as you know, and hence the name coined Bollywood. Bollywood is a portmanteau of Hollywood, Bombay, and Hollywood wood. So this is how it become Bollywood. Why so, friends? This is so because it's a cinema industry. Things have to sound and look glamorous and cinematic. Bollywood sounds keeping pace with the time and space, as cinematic as Hollywood itself. It's exotic in its impression, and the concept is about the Hindi cinema. So then parallel we had Bengali cinema, which was then called Tollywood, then Tamil cinema, South Indian movies, especially Tamil cinema, Kollywood. Kollywood has also a sense of disambiguation, which is associated with Kathmandu cinema, Nepal cinema, and that's how it is Kollywood. But in Indian context, it is only South Indian movie industry, which is primarily Tamil cinema, and then Punjabi cinema, which is Bollywood. Bollywood again has its Pakistani association, which is a film industry based in Peshawar. But in Indian context, again, the movies which are produced and directed and made in Punjab have been referred to as Bollywood. So let us see how Bollywood cinema has traveled a long way in its journey of more than 100 years of time. And for the sake of the convenience and understanding, easy understanding of the whole journey of Indian cinema, I have devised the periods into different time frame. This is individual and flexible People have devised it according to their own sensitivity and sensibility of the issue. This is mine. So, this is here it goes. The first period I have taken as the period of emergence, when how Indian cinema, Hindi cinema emerged on the Indian cinematic space, and in particular in the global place in general. So, period of emergence, actually we are referring to the pre-1940 era. Then we have the middle era. The middle era goes through 1940 to 1960. This sometimes this demarcation is quite overlapping. A decade or two keeps overlapping each other, but for the sake of prominence, it is between 1940 and 1960. This period time frame is for middle era. Then you have post middle era, which goes 1970 and to 2000 on till 2000, and then new Bollywood, which is in the 21st century, 2000 onwards till 2013, the completion of 100 years of Indian cinema, and then 2013 onwards, what in Hindi cinema, Bollywood cinema has ushered in a new direction, taking up new dimensions altogether. And this is not only the chronological order, chronological sequence of the growth and development of Indian cinema, Bollywood cinema. This is as much chronological as the thematic trajectory of Bollywood cinema. So, let us see, when we talk about period of emergence, which is pre-1940, we started with a silent movie, then we progress into talkies, the soundtrack movies, then parallel cinema, then commercial, popular cinema, masala movies, then cyber censor board free movies. So, this is how it is thematically also aligned. So, this chronological order is highly in alignment with the thematic trajectory of Bollywood Hindi cinema. So, let us begin with the first recorded authenticated cinema of Hindi film industry, and we start with Raja Harishchandra. Naturally, it is in the pre-1940 era, so it has to be a silent movie. We started with silent movie. The Hollywood also started with a silent movie. So, we also started with silent movie, and it was Raja Harishchandra, based on the cultural mythical story of Satyavadi Raja Harishchandra, as we know, directed and produced by Dada Sahab Phalke. Who was Dada Sahab Phalke? Considered to be the father of Indian cinema. Dada Sahab Phalke has become a metaphor today for all the film personalities who are looking up to excel in their fields, and that is why perhaps Government of India instituted an award in the honor of Dada Sahab Phalke in 1969, and any film personality who achieves this award is supposed to have achieved highest official recognition from the Government of India for his exceptional maverick contribution to cinematic area and field. So, this was Raja Harishchandra by Dundi Raj Govind Phalke, as we originally know him. So, he is Dada Sahab Phalke. Then it was what is the typical characteristic of this movie, Raja Harishchandra? It was the first full length Indian feature film, first motion picture, and the running time was ideally 40 minutes, not very ambitious. It started humbly with a modest economy of time, which was just 40 minutes. Then a tremendous change came in 1931. There was a total absolute transfer of genre from silent movie for the first time to the soundtrack digital movie, and that was Alam Ara, 1931. So, it was directed by Ardeshir Irani, and the stars were Master Bittal, Jubeda, Jillu, Susila, and legendary Prithviraj Kapoor, we all know. Running time is 124 minutes. Look at the difference from silent movie to the sound movie, the talkie for the first time. 120, almost double, 2 hours, full-fledged movie. So, fully stretched out movie, and the language was Hindi Urdu. It was based on a Parsi play written by Joseph David, and of course, it was based on an imaginary plot of a romantic script. So, this was released on 14th March 1931, and do you know what does it Alam Ara, what does it mean? Alam Ara means the ornament of the world. How can we figure out the ornament of the world if we look at the title of the movie itself? The first soundtrack movie, Talkie, which came in the Hollywood, was The Jazz Singer 1927, and it was 89 minutes. We can say that, of course, it came in 1927, a little earlier than ours, but then it was 89 minutes. So, we expanded the plot, thematically we were more elaborate, and that's we could figure out that yes, Alam Ara, not only thematically speaking, but as technically speaking also, the ornament of the world. Now, let us go ahead with the next phase of Bollywood cinema, and that was middle era. This again I would emphasize that the chronological order which has been maintained in this presentation is only flexible to the extent that some of the time frame, I mean 1 decade, 2 decades, they are overlapping thematically and technically. In cinema, there is no watertight compartment, I mean to say, between say the middle era and the post middle era, as we will take into account later. So, what did middle era go through? First of all, in the as you look at this time frame 1940 to 1960, it introduced the parallel realistic cinema. And what was parallel realistic cinema? It was rooted in socio-cultural, political issues, and it was just averse to melodrama and entertainment. What is the purpose of the movie? The purpose of the movie is not simply to entertain. Its movie is also to address the socio-political conditions, circumstances, challenges, opens up the windows of amelioration, betterment, etc. It is not what Vidya Balan says in Dirty Picture, entertainment. This is only trivializing the noble objective of a cinema industry. It is not just one aspect of any cinema industry. Entertainment goes not barehanded, it goes along with some purpose, some motive, some well driven objective. So, parallel cinema actually emphasized socio-political realism. It wanted to bring up the core issues of the society, people at large. Then of course, the same middle era witnessed the introduction of crime drama also. Then crime drama could be considered as the subgenre of the parallel cinema, hence it also issued the socio-political conditions. But then the actors which were mainly involved in those time periods were Dilip Kumar. And one thing I would like to tell about Dilip Kumar is that he was a veteran actor of what we call today method acting. Method acting, and he even predated the Hollywood actor Marlon Brando. And what was that method acting? Method acting was a natural, empathetic internalization of the roles the characters were playing. And it was debated somehow in the news that Dilip Kumar was so much so immersed in the role that when he would be doing a sad melancholic role, he would go sad, and he went to the extent of getting into depression, and he has to see a psychiatrist to get out of this mental mood. So this was actually living the role one is playing out in front of the audience. So this was Dilip Kumar, and the major movies which came with the major directors, Do Bigha Zameen, Awara, Mother, Sri 420, Garm Hawa, Mughal-e-Azam, Pyasa, Devdas. Do Bigha Zameen, as you know, is a socially themed subject on the farmer landlord dispute. And Mother India, I would like to tell you one thing about Mother India. A timeless movie, no doubt, everybody knows. But what triggered the creation of Mother India? Why should Mahbub Khan make Mother India, he actually made it was a remake of his own film, which he made in 1940, which was called Aurat. But then Mother India was a counter creation to a Catherick Mayo's 1917 polemical novel about Mother India, and it essentially vilified, tarnished the image of the country. And so this was a counter creation, cinematic representation of Mother India by Mahbub Khan, and that's why it's a timeless, all-time favorite and the supreme movie for across time and space for years to come. So Mother India sets the trend for the new wave of cinema in Indian Bollywood industry. Then of course, it was the time of partition. Post partition, we have a lot of movies, wherein one movie which is so instrumental to mention here is Garam Hawa. Garam Hawa actually portrayed the plight, predicament and the irony of the two countries, the partition period, the people how underwent the trauma and tribulations. And M.S. Satyu directed this movie. We had a film festival in our university a couple of years ago, and we invited and we had one-to-one interaction. We were just privileged enough to hear him. The live experiences of how what went into making of Garam Hawa, a must-watch movie for any movie buff and somebody who has some interest in the historical political situations of our country. So this was middle era through 1940, 1960. Let us go ahead and I would stretch out this middle era through 1950 to 1970, so that we could focus on certain major actors, directors, music directors, playback singers. Look, we just have to know about certain actors who have made a mark and who will remain worthy of emulation for years to come, not only for the Indian movie actors, but for the people, for the movie people in general at the global level. And this era essentially is referred to as the golden era. Why? What was so? Why this period was particularly called golden era? What was golden about it? Yes, golden era was because of the thematic marvel that it produced, because of the music, the magic in the music, the field of music, because of the directorial excellence. Let us look at Dilip Kumar. These are not the names. These are the metaphor in the cinematic world. Raj Kapoor, a phenomenon. Madhubala, Devanand, Meena Kumari, Ashok Kumar, Nargis. And so goes the list of the directors. Gurudutt, again Raj Kapoor as a director, Satyajit Ray, who not? Bimal Roy, Ritwik Ghatak, K. Asif, Mahbub Khan, golden era. These were the people who made this period remembered as golden era. And music directors, Shankar Jaikishan, S.D. Burman, Nausad Ali, Hemant Kumar, O.P. Nayyar, R.D. Burman, etc. And look at the play singers. This is the whole volley of the singers who have created soulful songs for centuries of years to come, and for people to relish and cherish this kind of soulful songs. Mukesh, all-time favorites. Muhammad Rafi, Kishore Kumar, eternal people. Lata Mangeshkar. They are music masters. Mahendra Kapoor, Asha Bhosle. So that's why golden era is because of the people who contributed and who were phenomenal in their own fields, be it acting, be it direction, be it music, be it singing. So this is how we chart out 1950 to 1970 middle era. Let's go ahead and talk about a little extended middle era, which is post middle era, and it is the largest stretched out period which I have taken in my presentation. And this is post middle era, which is between 1970 and 2000. There are critics and scholars who could devise decade wise or 20 years of time frame. Okay, I have taken it this way, 1970 to 2000. So what happens? There also, since parallel cinema was in vogue and it was making a mark in Indian film industry and across the globe, it continued for a while, and the major movies that we could witness during this time was Akrosh, Ardha Satya, Bhumika, Bajar. One thing is important here to mention, that with the continuation of realistic parallel cinema, there was a time when people faced some thematic stagnation as well. And why was this thematic stagnation? What happens when something continues for a while? People look for change. It was the situation of abundance of movies on social realism. So, you needed a change was sought, and this change was with reference to subject and representation. And also this, especially the 1980s period of cinema, was critically acclaimed by the cinema people themselves. Anil Sharma, director of several movies, milestone movies, he considers this whole period as an absolute garbage. Once I happened to meet the iconic director and script writer Sagar Sarhadi, again in the same film festival that we organized at our place, and he was also very critical about the decadence of Hindi cinema, which in 1980s particularly seen, and he was worried about how commercial and monetary things determines the plot, the script and everything else with reference to Indian cinema. He was not in the receiving 1980s and these periods of cinema quite well. So, this is how the thematic stagnation prevailed because of the continuation of the realistic parallel cinema during the 80s period. Now, going ahead, we see that how was this thematic stagnation overcome? What happened? There was a change needed. How did cinema people go into making this change so required? There was a requirement for changing space of script and genre. And then we have on the scene the arrival of Salim Javed. And Salim Javed, the iconic script writing duo, I had better say. Now, Salim is Salim Khan, Javed is Javed Akhtar. They do not need any introduction. They are the first Indian screenwriters to achieve star status. Before them, nobody had achieved this kind of. So, what was their contribution? They established altogether a new genre, especially when the parallel cinema was getting celebrated. Now, they entered and changed the whole tempo of Indian cinema, and they established altogether revolutionized Indian cinema during 1970s, and they were considered the greatest screenwriters of the time. So, the movies which came during their period was Dawn, Sholay, Janjeer, Diwar. These movies are selectively, specifically chosen to deliberate upon the idea associated with this choice. In the next slide, I will tell you. They were actually, what did Salim Javed contribute to Indian cinema? They were considered to be the pioneers of the cultural phenomenon such as Angry Young Man. So, Angry Young Man, the credit goes to the creation of Angry Young Man, credit goes to Salim Javed. Then you have the Masala movie, Masala film in the Bombay underworld crime film. It was all the contribution of Salim Javed duo screenwriting, which changed the whole tenor and tempo of Indian cinema, and for many actors even today to follow and to ape the style and the script of this Salim Javed screenwriters duo. So, the next slide, shall we go ahead? Stop.
We would like to thank Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi for giving us this productive session. Friends, you're requested to be with us as we are going to be back after a short break, and we are going to give you more of knowledge. Till then, keep watching us. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome back to this session. Friends, as you know that today we are talking on Hindi cinema in detail, and for the discussion on the topic, we have with us in our studios Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi. Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi is Assistant Professor in English, and currently he is teaching in University School of Humanities and Social Sciences Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. Friends, if you have any question in mind regarding the topic, then do call us through our toll-free number. Our number is 1-800-110-430. I repeat, our number is 1-800-110-430. Friends, you are requested to call in the last 10 minutes only. Now, I would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi, once again. Hello, sir. Welcome back to the session.
Okay, so we were talking about Salim Javed, the duo screenwriter, and we were talking about the contributions and the changes which he effected in Indian Bollywood Hindi cinema industry. In fact, he integrated two genres, the parallel movies, Masala movies, and the crime drama. So together he created some historic movies like Dawn, Sole, Janjeer, Diwar. These one thing is common in all these four movies, that it has Amitabh Bachchan as the lead character in all these movies, whether it is Dawn, Sole, Janjeer, Diwar, etc. So the point here is that Salim Javed, the question is, did he create the image of angry young man by presenting Amitabh Bachchan in the role? Yes, certainly, emphatically yes. Amitabh Bachchan was conceived in the image of angry young man in the Bollywood cinema. In fact, angry young man is also derived from the Western concept. And there was an English play by John Osborne, look back in anger, wherein Jimmy Potter represents this character. This was personified by Amitabh Bachchan in all these movies. And what does the angry young man do? He looks at the social evils, the problems, the challenges of the common people, and the representation is the representation of the harsh realities of life. So, it is the concept is rooted in the representation of harsh social realism. Masala movie, then of course, Masala movie and crime movie, it was blended together by Salim Javed, and the credit goes to them. The first Masala movie that we could ever have in Indian Bollywood industry was Yadon Ki Barat, wherein we also have for the first time Amir Khan coming in the Hindi cinema. Now, Salim Javed is considered to have created the young angry man image of Amitabh Bachchan through these movies, and we know, I hope all of us have seen these movies. So, let us go ahead and talk about how Masala movie expanded through 1970s and 1980s. As I told you earlier also, that these movies are chronologically framed, but they are overlapping also. They are not to be put in the watertight compartment, just in one cinema space, in one cinema time, and not going over to the next period. It is not like that, but yes, it is the question of prominence, wherein which spirit prevailed in a given time frame. So, we are talking about the expansion of Masala movie through 1970s and 1990s, and you could have the major movies like Amar Akbar Anthony, Mr. India, Tejab, Coolie, Dil, Mela, Chalbaz. These were the groundbreaking movies of the period. Now, we enter into the time of commercial Hindi cinema. And commercial Hindi cinema, as the name suggests, what is commercial about commercial Hindi cinema? Is it associated with the financial market status of? Yes. Commercial cinema must be commercially viable. So, for the first time, you have to take up the subjects, the issues which are socially viable. People should feel interested in the issues, and it should be pulling the crowd towards the theatre. So, that is the commercial cinema, and also technically speaking, there is one more trait of commercial cinema, and that is when it starts with Masala movie and action movie, and then what happens? It engages the crowd, and when action is going on, action has to be intervened and interrupted by the song and the dance, and this is how commercial cinema became more popular, and that is why commercial cinema and popular cinema, the terms go hand in hand. So, commercial cinema started in 1980s and prevailed through the age, and the major movies that we could have is Jaane Bhi Do Yaro, Sadma, Saransh, Parinda, Dayavan, Prem Rog, Chandni, etc. Now, again, since one genre of movie prevails, it becomes monotonous and people start looking for the change. So, again the period of thematic stagnation came, and what was the reason this time for the thematic stagnation? Not only the monotonous stretch of the cinema, but because of the increasing violence. It was the time of rampant violence. It was because of the poor music, and that is why perhaps I told you why Anil Sharma, Sagar Sarhadi and other people thrashed, and they were just critical about the cinematic characteristics of the time. They did not consider this period and the cinemas thereof as the standard creations. So, the poor music, then also video piracy started taking place. People started staying back at home, and they just stopped going to the theatres. There was an apathy towards theatre since the things were available at home. But then at that time, this thematic stagnation had to be overcome, and it was overcome by a turning point which came in Indian cinema, and that turning point marks the entry and the arrival of Amir Khan, and with the movie Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. What was that therein? How did Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak made a change in the prevailing conditions of the period? It brought back the people to the theatre. How? Amir Khan, as we know, in the industry has a different, altogether different image. And what is his image? He prevails as the perfectionist, Mr. Perfectionist. Amir Khan is Mr. Perfectionist. He would make a film or two and it would go blockbuster. So, he is the infallible, impeccable, seasoned actor of Bollywood cinema, and he set a new trend for Bollywood musical romance. And what did he do? He redefined and modernized the Masala film. Masala film has to be there to be a commercial film, but then there has to be change therein, else it would go monotonous. And what did he do? He just blurred the distinction between the two kinds, Masala movie and the parallel cinema and the romance and the music. It was a kind of integration of the movies, as it is quite typical of Masala movies. As you hear the word Masala, Masala itself connotes the mixture of different spices. The spices are not just one stuff. So, Masala movie also built upon the integration of genres in Indian Bollywood cinema. It would mix comedy, it would mix romance, dance, action, some realism also, and he perfected this genre, and that is why people once again were thrilled and excited to go back to the movies, and that is how it proved to be a turning point with the arrival of Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, starring Amir Khan therein. Now, going ahead, we could see that the commercial Hindi cinema grew in the coming years, and the growth went through 1990s also. And if you look at the major movies, you could look at Phul Aur Kaante, DDLJ, Bajigar, Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, Aankhein, Khalnayak, Dar, Sajan, etc. These are the blockbuster movies of the 1990s and the commercially super hit as well. And then again, since it is the time of the prevalence of Masala movies, so then there again has to be the thematic stagnation. If not thematic stagnation, some kind of change in the taste of the movies was sought. And again we find the re-advent of resurgence of the parallel cinema in the late 1990s, and the two movies which made the mark and which brought back the spirit of parallel cinema was Satya and Vastav. And of course, with that also came the introduction of new genre, and that was called Mumbai Noir. Noir is a crime based action movie, and it was rooted in action, crime, and Satya and Vastav are the true representatives of the Mumbai Noir movie. So, let us go ahead, and now it is the movie time since 2000 onwards, Bollywood 2000 onwards. And what is it called? It is universally called as New Bollywood. What was new about this New Bollywood? What new things happened during this period, 2000 onwards? Some of the novelties marked in the 2000 onwards movies were, first of all, the adaptations. Shakespeare was brought to India. We have the adaptations of Shakespearean plays all the way from Stratford upon Avon to Meerut, to Kashmir, to Lucknow, to Allahabad. Vishal Bhardwaj revisited Shakespeare and brought Shakespeare and Shakespearean plays into the hinterlands of Indian landscape. And the movies that came were, he started with Macbeth rendering into Makbul, and Othello's rendering into Omkara, Hamlet's rendering into Heather. These plays are also the plays which made Shakespeare, and they are also the blockbuster on the silver screen of Bollywood cinema. So, this is how it set the tone for a new kind of filmmaking in Indian cinema. Then another newness which was noticed and perceived and which prevailed in this period was the remakes. We have the remakes of Devdas coming in this period. Devdas by Shah Rukh Khan. Of course, Devdas has multiple representations and remakes across the globe, and one which was made in 1950s, 60s was Bimal Roy's Devdas. But now then we have Devdas played by Shah Rukh Khan, and it was again a silver screen blockbuster. Then again the contemporaneization of Devdas, the mythical plot, into Dev D, which came in 2009, and Dev D altogether set the tone for the new kind of cinema with respect to adaptation, that one could adapt even to this scape, wherein the imaginative flight of the movie makers could be ostensibly perceived and appreciated. Dev D was well received as remake of Devdas by the moviegoers. Then we have gone to again Shah Rukh Khan coming in here. Then of course, the short movie which came a couple of years ago, Ahilya. Ahilya is the remake of, not remake, mythical representation of the story of Ahilya. It's actually the inversion of the actual myth, wherein Ahilya is no longer the victim, Ahilya is the victimizer. So, this kind of remake started taking place in the, so look at earlier these things were not taking place. Now, one of the most prominent things which happened in this time frame is the treatment and the taking up of taboo subjects. Movies based on homosexuality and lesbianism came up, like the movies like Fire, movies like My Brother Nikhil, movies like Dostana, movies like recent movies like Aligarh, which is based on an actual incident of a professor in Aligarh Muslim University, how he underwent all these traumas and tribulations of a certain kind of relationship which he was into. Then this new Bollywood genre time frame also gave birth to new genre of cinema, and that was sex erotic comedies. We start with Goa, Grand Masti, Kya Cool Hai Hum 3, Kya Super Cool Hai Hum, Masti Jade, etc. Now, these were the movies which again had redefined the comedic spirit of Hindi cinema, and New Bollywood also ushered into another landmarks, and that is making of biopics. A lot of biopics started being made in this time frame, and some of them are Dangal, as we know, all of them are the super hit movies. MS Dhoni, The Untold Story, Sachin, A Million Dreams, which is a doco-drama actually, Mary Com. So, biopics became one of the subject areas of the movie makers in the 2000 onwards time frame. So, let us go ahead now and talk about the movies, especially we are coming towards the fag end of this presentation, and I will like to take you to certain tremendous changes that took place in the year 2013 onwards. 2013 is a landmark in the history of Indian cinema. Why? And we have titled this slide as Coming of Age of Bollywood. Bollywood has now come of age. Bollywood has crossed 100 years of time. Bollywood has seasoned itself. Bollywood has matured itself. Bollywood has transcended the limitations of art, craft, cinematography, choreography, music, screenplay, and everything, the subtleties associated with Indian cinema. So, 100 years of Hindi cinema is a tremendous, terrific, trajectory of movie making across the globe. It witnessed a lot of thematic and technical shifts and liberties. A lot of changes came in these 4 years onwards. Now, 2013 onwards, cinema prospered like flying colors, you can say, technically speaking, thematically speaking. Why? There is one reason that could be figured out with this terrific, tremendous change that came after the 100 years of Hindi cinema was the internet revolution. Internet has radically changed the silver screen. The silver screen, the rapid, radical changes in the stuff, the script, the cinematography, and all of the art and artifacts associated with Hindi cinema. So, what essentially happened therein? What did internet do? What kind of revolution was triggered? Movies started coming based on the subjects of cyber crime. Now, movies are available at home. People could see, no longer dependent upon the theatre halls. Then we have the advent of Netflix and Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime came, Netflix came, and what is significant about Netflix and Amazon Prime here is that it made accessible many other things which were otherwise tabooed and not passed through censor board. For the first time in the history of Indian cinema, coming of age period, as we call it, 2013 onwards, with the advent of Netflix and Amazon Prime, it championed the cause of restrictions and bans and censorship, blah blah. We have the movies now, thanks to the advent of Netflix and Amazon Prime, the storage movies like the Lust Storage, recently 2018 drama film, and of course, there are many serial based episodes, Sacred Games and other things. Lust Storage, we know the Lust Storage. What kind of movie is this? We know that this is an anthology of the episodes contributed by 4 directors, and they all are the mainstream directors. Karan Johar, Anurag Kashyap, Dipankar Banerjee, who else? Joe Akhtar. So, this was actually a radical change in the cinema industry. Nobody could have ever imagined these kind of subjects being discussed. A lot of drama, melodrama, histrionic things which came, a lot of relationship tabooed stories which were earlier very controversial even before they came, and they served as the Masala controversial movies. But these things were championed by the advent of Netflix and Amazon Prime, and people started watching it, enjoying it at their fingertips, at home, in mobile, in their laptops, etc., etc. So, this is how coming of age is actually not for the namesake of it. Coming of age is actually coming of age in the real sense of the term, when cinema transcended the limitations of criticism, transcended the limitations of such restrictions, bans, etc., etc. Now, let us go to the next slide, and some of the popular terms which have been used and which are used and which movie buffs should know are mentioned here. The Bollywood, as we have earlier mentioned also. Why should Bollywood be called Bollywood? Bollywood is a Hindi language film industry, and it was named in 1970s, as I earlier told that it has been made with the process of portmanteau, which is a method of creating 2 words, the part taking from one word and part taking from another word. Bombay and Hollywood. Hollywood is California based film industry of US. Then of course, silent movie. We started all cinematic traditions across the globe. Started with the silent movie, and the silent movie is a film genre without audible dialogues. Then we have talkie, as the name suggests, one which talks. It was a film with a soundtrack as distinct from a silent film movie. Then of course, the parallel cinema, we have talked a lot about parallel cinema, a film movement in Indian cinema that engaged with believable narratives, with strong messages, and it identified with socio-cultural and political issues without any melodrama, and it originated in West Bengal. Then of course, Masala movie, we have been looking through all these genres, a genre of movie that integrates action, drama, romance and music all together, and identical with the term of spices, as we know, masala. Then popular cinema and commercial cinema, because of their thematic and technical semblances, go hand in hand. A typically romantic and action movie with a cultural spirit of the action movie, with the masses capable of driving the masses to the theatre, else it ceases to be commercial movie. So, it is also commercial because the action is split by dance and song as a technical trait of the genre. Now, since let us look at some of the portraits, pictures of the movies across the genres. I have tried to chronologically arrange them from the genres silent to the cyber Netflix era. So, Raja Harishchandra, Alamara, Avara, this Garam Hawa, Pyasa, Diwar, etc. Then we have Fire, Aligarh, Grand Masti, Lust Storage. Next, if you look at the Indian cinema now, what emerges as of now with the 100 years of the history of Indian cinema, we see that it has travelled from the cultural representation of cultural consciousness to the representation of contemporary cosmopolitan complexities, and now it emerges as the metaphor of thematic sublimity. If we talk about Indian cinema, we talk of the thematic sublimity. If we talk of Indian cinema, we talk of the imaginative supremacy. If we talk of aesthetic excellence, yes, we talk of Indian cinema and we talk of aesthetic excellence. Technical novelties is also to be credited in the 100 years of Indian cinema. So, going towards the last, I would like to tell you that some of the things which were not included, the limitations of the movie was that I haven't talked about music because of the economy of time. Much could be spoken about Indian cinema with its 100 years of history. I haven't also talked about the choreography and singing, lyrics not discussed at all. These are the issues because of the restraints put upon the time, the economy of time. Also choreography not discussed, all directors not included, only very few of them representing the genre and the ages were discussed, taken in the fold. Then I also didn't talk about, only talked about the select movies of the genres also, and it should have been made more comparative study of Indian Bollywood Hindi cinema, but somehow I only restricted this presentation given the economy of time to only the select subjects and the select genres, within them also only select movies of the Bollywood Hindi cinema. So, this is how you can go and add on more to the references have been given for your help and aid. So, thank you so much.
With this note, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving us this session. And as said by Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi about the certain things we are not able to take in today's session, dear friends, we promise that in our forthcoming sessions, we will try to talk all on music, choreography, lyrics, etc., etc. You are just requested to be with us always as you do. Friends, for writing to us, you can contact us through our email ID at info.cec@nic.in. This is the ID where you can put in your questions if you have regarding today's lecture, or you can give your feedback too. We will be pleased to solve your queries next time when Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Dwivedi visits our studio. This lecture is going to be uploaded on YouTube soon. So keep watching us and keep writing us. We are going to meet soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.